Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. Prologue. Everyone my age remembers where they were, what they were doing when I first heard about the contest. I was sitting in my hideout watching cartoons when the news bulletin broke in on my video feed, announcing that James Halliday has died during the night. I have heard of Halliday, of course. Everyone had. He was the video game designer responsible for creating the Oasis, a massively multiplayer online game that had gradually evolved into a global network. Virtual reality was a humanity work now on a daily basis. The unprecedented success of the Oasis had made Halliday one of the richest people in the world. At first, I couldn't understand why the media was making such a big deal of his death. After all, the people of planet Earth had much other concerns. The ongoing energy crisis, catastrophic climate change, widespread famine, poverty and disease, half a dozen wars, dogs and cats living in massive hysteria. Normally, the news feeds don't interrupt everyone's interactive on sitcoms and soap operas unless something major has happened, like an outbreak of some new killer virus, or another major city vanishing in a mushroom cloud. Big stuff like that. As famous as he was, Halliday's death should have rendered only a brief segment on the evening news, so the unwatched masses can shake their heads in envy when a newscaster announced the obtaining a large amount of money he'd be due to the rich man's heirs. But that was the rub. James Halliday had no heirs. He had died a 67-year-old bachelor with no real relatives and by most accounts, without a single friend. He had spent the last 15 years of his life in self-isolation. During this time, it was rumored to believe that he has gone completely insane. So the real jaw-dropping news that January morning, the news that had everyone from Toronto to Tokyo crapping in their cornflakes, concerned with the contents of Halliday's last will and testament. Halliday prepped a short video message alongside the instructions that be released to the media at the time of his death. He has also rearranged a copy of the video game of the video email to every single Oasis user that same morning. I still remember hearing the familiar electronic chime arrive my mailbox, just seconds after I saw the first news. His video message was actually a metrically constructed short film titled Anrak's Invitation. A famous ecstatic Halliday had harbored a lifelong obsession with the 1980s, a decade which had been a teenager. And Anrak's Invitation charmed with obscure 80s pop culture references, which nearly all we were lost on me the first time I viewed it. The entire video, which was over 5 minutes in length, and the days and weeks that followed, it became one of the most scrutinized pieces of film in history, surpassing the Zapruder film in amounts of painstaking frame-by-frame analysis devoted to it. And my entire generation would come to know every second of Halliday's matches by heart. Anrak's Invitation begins with the sound of trumpets and the opening of a song called Dead Man's Party. The song plays over a dark screen only for a few seconds until the trumpets are joined by a guitar, and that's when Halliday appeared. But he was not a 67-year-old man ravaged by time and illness. He looks just as he did on the cover of Time magazine back in 2014. A tall, thin, healthy man in his early 40s, with unkempt hair and a trademark horn ring glasses, also wearing the same clothing he wore in the Times cover photo, a faded jeans and a vintage Space Invaders t-shirt. Halliday does high school dance, being held in a gymnasium. He is surrounded by teenagers whose clothing, styles, and dance moves all indicated that the time period was in the late 1980s. Careful analysis shows that Snow's and all the teenagers behind Holiday are actually extras from very John Hughes teen films who have been digitally cut and pasted into the video. Holiday's dancing too. Spitting on no one ever saw him do in real life. Grinning mechanically, he spinned in rapid circles, swinging his arms and held in time with the song, flawlessly cycling through the several gestures. 80 dance moves, but Holiday's lines of text briefly appeared in the lower left-hand corner of the screen, listing the name of the band, song title, and record label of the year's release. As if the old music video was aired on MTV, being Unga Bunga, Dead Man's Pen, MCA Records, 1985. When the lyrics kicked in and began to lip sing along, so granting, all dressed up, nowhere to go, walking with a dead man over my shoulders. Don't run away. It's only me. He abruptly stopped dancing and made a cutting motion with his right hand, silencing the music. At the same time, the dancers in the gymnasium had vanished. The scene around him suddenly changes. Holiday now stands in front of a funeral parlor next to an open casket. His surroundings are acted from a scene of the 1989 film Heathers. Holiday appears to have digitally recreated the funeral parlor that set himself into it. At a second, a much older Holiday inside a casket, his body extremely ravaged by cancer. Shiny quarters on each of his eyelids. Higher scrutiny revealed those quarters were minted in 1984. A younger Holiday gazed into the corpse of his older self. With mock sadness, he addresses to the assembled mourners. The mourners are actual actors and extra from the same funeral scene in Heathers. Villain Reiner, Kristen Slatner, all visible in the audience, sitting near the back. Holiday snapped his fingers and a scroll appeared in his right hand. He opened it with a flourish and hung flared to the floor, rivaling down the aisle in front of him. He breaks the fourth wall, addressing the viewers, and begins to read. I, James Owen Holiday, being a sound-minded and disappointing man over I do by make and publish this decree instrument to be my last will and testament, hereby revoking any wills and all wills covenanted by me at that time herefore is made. He continued reading, faster and faster, and plowing through several more paragraphs of legalese, until he's speaking so rapidly that the words are unintelligible. Then he stopped abruptly. Forget it, he said. Even at that speed, it would take me a month to read this whole thing. Sad to say, I don't have that kind of time. He dropped the scroll and it vanished and showered of gold dust. Let me give you the highlights. The funeral parlor vanishes and the scene changes again. Holiday now stands in front of an immense bank vault door. My entire estate, including the controlled stocks in my company, grants simulation systems to be placed in escrow until such as a single condition I have set forth per will is met. The first individuals to meet that condition will inherit my fortune, which is currently valued in excess of $240 billion. The vault door swings open and Holiday walks inside. The interior of the vault is enormous, and it contains a huge stock of gold bars roughly the size of a large house. Here's the door put up for grabs, Holiday said grimly and broadly. What the hell? You can't take it with you, right? Holiday leans to the stock of gold bars, and the camera pulls it tight on his face. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, what do you do to get this hand on this moolah? Well, hold your horses, kids. I'm getting to that. He pauses dramatically, and his expressions change to of a child about to reveal a very big secret. Holiday snaps his fingers, and the vault disappears. In the same instant, Holiday shrinks into a small boy wearing a brown Holiday unveiled the Muppets t-shirt. Holiday's not exactly as he did in a photo taken in 1980 when he was 8 years old. The young Holiday stands clustered in the living room with a burnt orange carpeting, wood panel walls, and an eclectic late 70s decor. A 22-inch Zenith television sits nearby and the Atari 2600 gaming consoles hooked up to it. "This is my first video game system I ever owned," Holiday said, now in the child voice. "An Atari 2600. I got it for Christmas in 1979. He plopped it down in front of the Atari. He picked up the joystick and began to play. "My video game was this one," he said, nodding to the screen, where a small square traveling down to the images. It was called Adventure. Like early video games, Adventure was designed and programmed by just one person. But back then, Atari refused to give their programmers credit for their works, so the name of the game's creator didn't appear anywhere on the packaging. On the TV screen, we see how they use a sword to slay a red dragon. Although, due to the game's cruel regulations, it looks like a square using an arrow and a deformed duck. So the guy who created Adventure, a man named Warren Robinette, decided to hide his game inside the game itself. He hid the key in one of the game's labyrinths. If you found this key, a small pencil-grade dot you could use to enter a secret room Robinette had hidden his name. On the TV, Holiday guided his square protagonist into the game's secret room, with words created by Warren Robinette appear in the center of the screen. "This," Holiday said, pointing to the screen with general relevance, "this was the first video game Easter egg." This is the game's first video egg. Robinette hid the game's code without singing a soul. Atari manufactured and shipped Adventure all through over the world, but even knowing the secret room. They didn't find about the Easter existence until months later when all the kids all over the world began to discover it. I was one of those kids. Finding the Robin Hood grenade for the first time was the coolest video game experience of my life. The young Holiday drops his joystick and stands, as he does in the living room, fades away, and the scene shifts again. Holiday now stands in the dim cavern. Torches by flickers down wall. In the same instant, Holiday appeared to change once again, as he morphed into his famous Oasis avatar, Enrak, a tall, robed wizard with eyeglasses. It's a slightly more handsome version of James Holiday, minus the glasses. Enrak dressed in his trademark black robes with his avatar embroidered a large calligraphic letter A embroidered on each sleeve. "Before I died," Enrak said, speaking in a much deeper voice, "I created my own Easter egg and hid it inside my most popular video game, the Oasis. The first person to find my egg will inherit my entire fortune." Another dramatic pause. "The egg is well hidden, not just lying on a rock somewhere. I suppose you can say it's locked in the safe that is buried in a secret room that hides in the center of the maze, located somewhere." He raises the top of his temple. "Up here. But don't worry, I left a few clues lying around to get everyone started. Here's the first one." Enrak made a grand gesture with his right hand, and 3 keys appeared, shining slowly in the air in front of him. They appeared to be made of copper, jade, and clear crystal. As the keys continued to spin, Enrak recreates a piece of verse, and he speaks to each line. It appeared briefly in the flaming subtitle across the screen. 3 hidden keys open 3 hidden secret gates. Whenever in the errand will be tested for worthy traits, and those with the skills to divide these traits reach the end where the prize awaits. As he finishes, the jade key crystal vanish, leaving the copper key around his neck. The camera follows and Enrak as he turns to continue further into the dark cabin. Few seconds later, he arrived at a massive wooden door into a cavern rocky wall. These doors are banded with steel, and there is a shield and dragons carved into the surface. I couldn't playtest a particular game, so I worry it might hit my Easter egg a little too well, made it too difficult to reach. I'm not sure if that's the case, but it's too late to change anything now. So I guess we'll see. Enrak through the doors, revealing a intense treasure room filled with glittering gold coins and jewel-encrusted goblets. Enrak as revealed that the dozen curious items hung into the metal treasures. Most notably were several early home computers, the Apple II, Commodore 64, an Atari 800 XL, and a RTS color computer too. Dozens of video games controllers and a variety of gaming systems, all dice like the old table role-playing games. Enrak throws the doubling doors and men traps the room, goblets, and then he steps into the doorway and faces the viewers, stretching out his arms to hold the giant doors. They freeze from this scene. He apparently identical to the painting by Jeff Esley, that appeared on the cover of the Dungeons Master Guide and Dungeons and Rulebook published in 1983. So without further ado, Enrak announces, let the hunt for Howl's Easter egg begin. And he fanned his bright light, leaving the viewer to gaze through the doorway at the glittering mounds of the treasure that lay beyond. Then the screen fades to black. At the end of the video, Holiday included a link to his personal website, which had changed drastically in the morning on his death. For over a decade, the only thing that was posted had been a short looping animation that showed his avatar, Enrak, sitting in a medieval library, hunched over a scarred work table mixing potions over a dusty spellbooks, with a large painting of Jack Black and visual of the wall behind him. But now, the animation was gone. In its place was a high score list like those appeared in an old coin-operated video game that listed 10 number spots, and each displayed until JDH, Jadestone and Holiday, followed by 6 rows of zeros. This high score list quickly became known as the scoreboard. Just below the scoreboard there was an icon that looked like several letters bound booked, which was a free downloadable copy of Enrak's Almanac and a collection of hundreds of undated journal entries. That the Almanac was a collection of journal entries. The Almanac was over 1,000 pages long and contained a few details about Holiday's personal life and his day-to-day activities. Most of the entries were his themed conscious versions of various classic video games, science fiction, and fantasy novels, movies, comic books, and a pop culture mixed with humorous difference denouncing everything from organized religion to diet soda. The hunt, as the contest came to be known, quickly wove its way into global culture, like winning a lottery. Finding Holiday's Easter egg became a thing of popular fantasy among adults and children alike. It was a game that anyone could play, and at first there seemed to be no right or wrong way to play it. The only thing Almanac seemed to indicate that there was a familiar with Holiday's various obsessions would be essential to finding the egg. This led to global fascinations with 1980s pop culture. 15 years later, the decade had ended, the movies, music, games, and fashions of the 1980s were raged all once again. By 2041, Spike Here and Acid Wash scenes were back in style. Covered hit 80s songs were temporarily dominated the music starts. People who had actually been teenagers in the 1980s, all personal age, had a strange experience finding the fads and fashions of their youth embraced by the studies of their grandchildren. New subculture was born, composed of the millions of people who had now devoted every free moment of their lives searching for Holiday's egg. At first, these individuals were known as egg hunters, but others turned the nickname Gunters. During the first year of the hunt, being a Gunter was highly fashionable, and every U.S. legislature came to be one. When the first anniversary of Holiday's death arrived, the fewer surrounding contests began to die down. Entire years has passed, and no one has found anything, not a single key or gate. The part of the problem was the sheer size of the oasis. It contained thousands of simulated worlds where a key might be hidden, but it could take a gunter years to conduct a thorough search of any of them. Despite all the professional gunters who posted their blogs, and despite that they say they're getting to a breakthrough every day, to as well as graduating, that became apparent. No one really knew exactly what it was they were looking for, and or where to start looking for it. And then another year passed, and another. Still nothing. The general public had lost all interest in the contest. People began to assume that the all-name was hoax, created by a rich nut job. Others believed that even if the egg was really exists, no one was ever going to find it. Meanwhile, the Oasis continued to evolve and grow in popularity. It protected a takeover attempt by legal challenges, extradited by the terms of Holiday's will, and the army of rapid lawyers he had tasked with enriching his estate. Holiday's Easter moved into a realm of urban legend. An ever-dwelling tribute, a tribe of Gunters became the object of ridicule. Each year, the anniversary of Holiday's death, new catchers jokingly reported the lack of progress, and each year more Gunters called it quits, concluding the Holiday made impossible to find. And then another year went by, and another. Then, on the evening of February 11th, 2045, an avatar's name appeared on the top of the scoreboard for the whole world to see. After 5 long years, the copper key has finally been found by an 18-year-old kid living in a trailer park on the outskirts of Oklahoma City. That kid was me. Dozens of cartoons, books, and movies and miniseries have attempted to tell the story of everything that happened next, but every single one of them got it wrong, so I want to set the record straight, once and for all.